Yo, what is up? Welcome to Ninja Geek Games. I love dungeon crawlers ever since first playing Hero Quest in the 80s. Yes, I'm that old. Like a wise wizard, with the muscles of a barbarian and the agility of an elf. Anyway, I digress. Heroes of Tenefyr and the ferocious roar of an orc, but the soothing voice of a bard. Anyway, Heroes of Tenefyr is a cooperative deck-building dungeon crawler where our brave heroes must defeat various monsters that culminate in a final battle with a nasty boss. This game has a cool mechanic where the defeated enemy cards are placed into your deck that then provide your hero with special abilities. In this video, I'll use the solo variant and take on the roles of two heroes and accept my fate on this dangerous quest. Now, if you like the look of this, then can I suggest you take a look at Out of Town Games' online store, who were kind enough to provide me a copy of the game. So I've added a link to their store in this description. Hey, are there big spiders in this dungeon crawler? Okay, so we're going to do the quick mode variant of the game. And when playing solo, you select two characters, and I've selected the Bard and the Mighty Barbarian. First thing I need to do is to construct the hero deck, where I take 12 0 power basic cards and 12 1 power basic cards, and then shuffle these together with the unique skills of each of the characters that we're going to use. Now, for the dungeon area, you need to separate all the dungeon cards by level and randomly select 4 and place those cards in ascending order here. And the top card from each of the decks is turned face up. Each dungeon has an award associated with the level that is collected after you defeat that dungeon. The remaining dungeon cards, you lay them in separate stacks based on dungeon level, and these are placed face down as the reserve, and I may be able to draw from these at some point in the game. This is the boss track with the quick mode side face up, and on it sits the boss token on easy, normal or hard, depending on the level of difficulty you want to play. Now, as I'm a big coward, we are playing on easy. Now, the differences here compared to the normal game is that the normal game has 2 stacks of cards for each dungeon, each with their own reward. There is also a boss dungeon area, where the aim of the game is to defeat the boss. But in the quick mode game, you just need to progress through these 5 dungeon areas before the boss token reaches the skull at the end of the track. Now, although I'm playing solo, I will take 2 combat actions each turn, where for each combat action I can keep the cards or discard them. And I'll keep doing that until the enemy is defeated or I run out of cards. So we are going to enter at level 1, and we are fighting a slime with a power of 3. And it says here that the worst thing about slimes is the mess they make on your boots. So I will draw 3 cards. And I've drawn 2 power 1 cards, but the power here is 3. Now I can choose to discard these and carry on drawing, or move to my second combat action, but I think I'll move to the second one because I only need 1 more power. And there it is. So I have 1, 2, 3, which defeats this slime. These cards are then discarded, along with the enemy card that we were fighting, but it gets turned upside down. That now has an ability or action that we can carry out if drawn. And this says recover with a power value of 0, but it does let me choose a card from my discard to put into my hand during the game. So I can turn this over to fight the next boss. And we have a Kobold Trickster with a power of 2. But at the start of combat, I need to shuffle 2 0 cards from my discard into my deck. And I have 2, so there's 1. There's another one. And it just means that your deck becomes slightly weaker for this round. So I'll draw 3 cards. So I've got 1 of the basic powers that I need, but I've also drawn the Bard skill. And what this does is it lets me discard 2 cards from here to double the total of value of cards that I draw in this area. But I'm not going to do that because I only need 1 more power to defeat the Kobold. And there it is. So I have 2 power. This Kobold Trickster is defeated. Goes into my discard, and this is training with a power 1. Now I like this card because you can remove cards from your discard pile that you don't want from the game, meaning we can look to start getting rid of these 0 power cards that add no value. Right. Okay, next up we have a gargoyle with a power value of 4. And it says here that gargoyles can't fly, but the dwarves consider their wings a delicacy. Yuck. So first draw of 3 cards. Now I've drawn 1 power, but I have also drawn the Barbarian skill. That lets me draw 3 extra cards. And I might as well do that now. Okay, so even with that skill, I've only got 2 power and I still need to find another 2 for my second combat action. So that's not good enough. I've only got 3. I'll need to discard these. Draw 3 more. Need to discard those as well. Okay, so I've now got 5 power, which does defeat the gargoyle finally. And I've burnt through like 12 cards to do that, which is not good. And what I'm going to do here is rest. I come back out the dungeon, reset my deck, but I have to move the boss token forward 1 space. If I decide to take on this card and I get defeated, I'll have to leave the dungeon anyway, but the boss token will move forward 2 spots for me being defeated. So I'll come out, reshuffle my deck, and this moves forward 1 space. But what it does mean is I can collect 2 level 3 cards from the reserve. And I've taken Masterful Strike and Stomp. So these give me a power of 3, but Masterful Strike allows me to gain +3 power against the boss. Now we're not playing a boss, but the rules do state that the level 5 dungeon does act as a boss deck, so I'll be able to use this 3+ bonus for that deck. So these get shuffled in. The last monster is another Kobold Trickster, power of 2. And I need to shuffle basic 0 cards from my discard pile into my hand. Well, I don't have any. So I've got the 2 power, I need to defeat it. I have drawn Training, which lets me remove a card of my choice from my discard pile, but I can't do that at the minute. So defeated. I've now cleared this dungeon. Again, I'll move forward a space and I claim 3 level 1 cards. We have Recover, Surprise Attack, and Plunder. Oh, Ponder. And these will all get shuffled in. But before I do that, I also get a reward for clearing the dungeon. I get to choose one of the 2 options. The first option lets me move 4 cards from my deck into my discard pile, which would be good to remove those 0s. Or I can remove 1 card from the top of any dungeon, put it into its reserve deck, and then choose any card in that deck to replace it. So I think I'm going to choose the top action. Find some 0 cards. So these are the 4 0 cards that I'm going to discard. And on to level 2, where we're fighting a zombie with a power of 6. But here it says each basic 0 card gets a power of 1. So maybe it wasn't a good idea to discard them. I should have read this first. Okay. First combat. Oh, there you go. There's my +1. So a couple of bonus cards here. So I've got Training. That allows me to remove a card from my discard pile. So I can take the 0 card removed from the game. And Surprise Attack. If this is the starting combat, I can draw an additional card, which it is. I've drawn Ponder. And this says I can search my deck for 1 card and put it into my discard pile and then draw another card. So I'll get rid of another 0. I get to draw an additional card. It's another 0 power, but that counts as 1+. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I only need 2 power to defeat the zombie. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Easily done. Take the zombie. This is giving me minor healing, but this only works if I'm the Cleric, not with the Bard or the Barbarian, but it does give me 1 power. An Ogre, power 5. So I need a power of 3 from this last draw. Oh, bit of a standard turn, but it's 5 power. Excellent. And the skill gives me Smash, which is a 2 power card. Okay, a Raging Orc. And what's worse than an Orc? One that's raging. It's a power of 4. And apparently they are mean green and they'll rip out my spleen. Well, that's not very nice. And at the start of combat, I need to discard 2 cards. Okay. Draw first. Okay, so I've drawn Recover, which takes a card from my discard pile into my hand. And I'll take Smash. So now I have 3. And for the second combat, I think I'll need to discard again because of that ability. Well, I've easily done it, but I get to draw a card into my hand. And I'm going to choose Training so they can then use that ability to remove the 0 from the game. Okay, so taking the Orc gives me Fury Blows, and this lets me draw an extra card. And because I'm using the Barbarian, I can also draw an extra 3 cards instead. So what am I facing here? A Goblin Scout. So it only has a power of 3, but if there were any other cards underneath this, it would give them an additional power that I'd have to try and defeat in my next combat, but this is the last card, so that won't take effect. Okay, so I've got Training, so I can remove a card from here. And again, I'll remove another 0. And I've got 4 power, which defeats the Goblin. It's not a boss, so I don't get the +3, and I don't need it anyway. So the Goblin Scout is toast. Defeat the dungeon. I do have 3 cards left as well. So move this along 1 space. Take 3 level 2 cards, and I have Backstab, Dark Sight, and Smash. Backstab gives me +2 power against the final dungeon. Dark Sight lets me look at cards in the dungeon, so I can plan ahead and have a look what's coming. A Reward. Again, 2 options. So if I wanted to, I can take the top card of these dungeons and tuck them under the next dungeon. And this one means that each player can remove 1 card from their deck. So I'll choose the bottom action. Remove a card. Another 0. Now I've been able to remove 4 basic 0 power cards from my deck. I started with 12, I've now got 8. And as well as getting cards from defeating enemies, my deck is now becoming considerably stronger. But the enemies are becoming more powerful as well. So, level 3 dungeon. We've only got 1. We pulled a Training card, but there's nothing in discard to remove. So I'm going to discard that and draw again. So I got Smash, which gives me 2. Fury Blows, where I can draw extra cards, and Dark Sight, where I can look at the card beneath the Dark Elf. But what I forgot to mention was that this Dark Elf will only allow me to do 1 combat. So I have to defeat the Dark Elf in this combat, which I've done with 4. And this gives me Reconnaissance, and it's an ability that can only be used by the Thief. So it's kind of wasted on me. We have a Greater Worm. Now it has a power of 8, but what this ability does is lets me take any basic 1 cards from my discard into my hand. So I'll see if I've got any level 1 cards. I do, I have one there, so I can use that. I have Training, so I can remove a card from my discard. Again, another 0. So I have a power of 5 now. I just need 3 more. So I've got 2 there. I don't know if I've got any level 1 cards. No. So I'm going to have to discard these. Draw again. 1, 2, 3. So that defeats the Wyvern. This skill here can only be used if I'm the Cleric. Wyvern is now dead. Next monster, a Werewolf with a strength of 5. Now here it has 2 abilities, where the starting player will draw 1 less card, but the monster beneath gains 2 additional power. So that'll be a tough one to beat. So, I can only draw 2 cards at the minute. Not brilliant, but not bad. So I have 2 power. I need to get 3 more. So I've only got 1, but I have drawn the Barbarian skill, which lets me draw 3 extra cards. That is the worst. Barbarian has let me down badly. I'll have to discard all of those. More 0s. Now considering I've got rid of so many, I've drawn like 5 in 2 turns. But I've got Stomp. And I can choose a card from my discard and add it to hand. I'm not sure if there's anything of value in here. I'm going to take Training to hand. I don't need the power, but I can remove a card from my discard and get rid of one of those 5 0s that I've just drawn. Nevertheless, the Werewolf has been put down. And what does it give me? Insight. Which means if I use that card and continue to the next enemy in the dungeon, that enemy then gets -2 power. So we've got Kobold Drummers. That's what you need in a dungeon. Musicians. Power of 5, which now becomes 7. If I play any 0 cards, they actually have a power of -1. But I think most of them are in here. Not to sound salty. Okay. Not a bad start. I can remove a card from my discard with Training. 0. So I think that's now 50% of my 0 basic cards that have been removed from the game. So I'll need to get quite a hefty hit on this last one. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't use that because the Kobold isn't a boss. I can look at the next dungeon card, but there aren't any. But I can use the Bard skill. So I've got 2 options. I can discard all these cards and draw another 3, or use the Bard skill where I can discard 2 of these and it doubles this score of 3 to 6. So discard those 2. This now becomes 6, 7, 8, 9. And I successfully defeated the Kobold Drummers. Okay, leave the dungeon. I get 2 level 3 cards. Comeuppance and Stomp. Stomp is just a basic 3. And Comeuppance, which only gives me 1 power. But if I have level 1 cards in my discard pile, it can give me +3 power. So that's not a bad card. And the reward, I can move 4 cards from here into here, or I can take a random level 1 dungeon card from the deck. I think I'm going to remove my 0 cards. Okay, let's move these across. So level 4 dungeon, we have a Wyvern with a power of 9. So that's quite tough. And from the 0 cards being removed, I think I've only got 1 in here now. Maybe 2. So draw 3 cards. Uplifting Song, Surprise Attack, and a basic level 1 card. So as it stands, that's just 3. But if I'm using the Bard, this gets +1 power, so that becomes 2. Because this was my starting attack, Surprise Attack lets me draw an additional card, which is Smash. So now I have 2, 4, 5, 6. So I just need another 3. Okay. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3. And I could draw extra cards with Fury Blows, but I don't need to. And this gives me Crush, which is a power 4 card. Oh, wrong one. So I have an animated armor, which has a power of 7, but each basic 1 power card gets a -1 power. Okay. 2, 3, 3. So as it stands, it's 6. But I do have Comeuppance. That gives me +3 power if I've got 3 or more basic 1 cards in this deck. And I do. I have 1 here and 2 there. So this now becomes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which easily defeats the animated armor. On to the next one. A Dark Elf Spy, power 7. At the start of combat, a player must discard cards from the top of their deck until they discard a basic 1 card. That's not good. Okay, so I've lost. That one's not brilliant, but you know, that's power 3. Okay. So we have Comeuppance, Ponder, and Training. So with Training, I know I can remove the 0 card. With Comeuppance, because I still have 3 level 1 cards in my discard, this now becomes a 4. And Ponder allows me to take any card from here, put it in my discard pile. I want to see if there's anything worth doing. Okay, I'm going to put Stomp in my discard. And the reason being is I think I have, well, I've got Training in here, which will allow me to take a card from my discard into hand. So I know that one can get pulled when I want it. But I get to draw an extra card for that. So we have 4 for this one, 5, 6. I still need another 1. There we go. And I've drawn the Bard and Barbarian skills. I don't need to use those because I have my 7 power. Okay. And the Dark Elf Spy, this gives me Stroke of Luck, where you can actually search your deck for a card and put it into your hand rather than a discard pile. Last one. A Lesser Demon. And at the start of combat, I need to shuffle basic 0 cards from my discard pile back into my hand. So I need to do that now. There's 3 of them. And this shouldn't be a problem because I have loads of cards left. Oh, great. Right, I spoke a little bit too soon. What I meant to say was keep your wits about you. You never know what's round the corner. So I'll get rid of those, have to discard them. Draw again. Yeah, so me and my big mouth. So I'm going to get rid of those again. Draw again. Okay, so I have Smash, which is 2. Training, power of 1, but lets me remove a card from here. So I'll remove a 0. And then Insight. If I was to continue through this dungeon and there were more cards, the next one would get a -2 power, but this is the last card. So I've got a strength of 5 at the minute against the power 9. Dark Sight lets me look at cards under this one that are none. This is why I put, I think it was Smash in here, so I could recover it with Recover. And that was Stomp. So I put that in there earlier with one of my cards, knowing that I would draw Recover at some point, so I'll be able to take it out. And it's come just at the right time. So I have 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. With the power of 9. So I have defeated the Lesser Demon. So I am flying through these, but it is on easy. 2 level 4 cards. Focus and Stroke of Luck. Stroke of Luck I've already got. That lets me take a card from hand, from deck and put it into hand. But Focus, I can search my deck for 4 cards and put them into my discard, which is not too bad. Right, the reward. I can take a level 4 dungeon card of my choice, or look at all the cards in this deck and put them back in any order. Now I think my deck is pretty strong and I want to make it stronger, so I'm going to choose one of the level 4 reserve cards. I'm choosing the Elixir of Power, which lets me remove this card from the game to take a card back from my discard into my hand and double its power. So as long as I don't draw this in the first combat phase, it should be quite beneficial. Okay, 5th and final dungeon. I've still got 1 spot left I can spare on the boss track, but apart from the difficulty I had in the level 1 dungeon, I've not done too badly. So, and this card here, although it has a power of 4, it gains power equal to twice the starting player's total power. Luckily, I've drawn a really bad hand. So it's 2 becomes 4, means the power becomes 8. So I'm going to keep that there because I don't want to more difficult to defeat this card. I've got nothing to recover. I can look at the next dungeon card. Oops. Which is an assassin. Where here, if I play any basic 0 power cards, my combat total becomes 0 because of that. And you can only defeat this card in the second combat phase. Right, so I need a total of 6 from these cards. Perfect. Stomp, Smash, and a basic one. For a total power of 8. Right, the Assassin. I don't want to play 0 cards. So that's a good hand so far. So that's 7. I get +2 power because this is a level 5 which classes as a boss deck. If I'm the Bard, each of the players' basic level 1s gets +1, so that becomes +2. And +3 if I have 3 or more basic level 1 cards in my discard. I've only got 2. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 against 9. Easy. Okay. I've got a lot of cards left, but I said that last time and had to use 9 cards. So we've got an Armoured Minotaur with a power of 10. And every level 1 basic card I play is going to give me -1 power. Okay, so I'm at -1 so far. That is not a good start. So this lets me double whatever I get here with the Bard skill. This one here only works if I'm the Cleric, and the Barbarian skill lets me draw 3 extra cards. And then Surprise Attack lets me draw an extra card. Okay, this is looking good. Comeuppance, if I have 3 level 1 cards in here, this gets a +3 power bonus. Yep, and I have at least 3 in there. So that's 1, +4 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. -1. So I'm on 8 at the minute because of the ability of the Armoured Minotaur. I have to draw the 3 cards. So training, I can remove I might as well remove a level 1. I can draw 3 extra cards because I'm the Barbarian with Fury Blows. I've got a -1 here as well. I've got another training. I've got Insight, which means that the next card underneath has -2 power. I've got Ponder, where I can search a card in my deck and put it into my discard pile. I can then draw an extra card. And I will place Elixir of Power. Because if I get Recover, I can take that into my hand. So I need to work out what I've got here. So that one was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That becomes -1. So that's 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That becomes -1, 11. Which defeats the Armoured Minotaur just. Okay, last one. Okay, last card is an Orc Warband. Now, I was wrong at the beginning of the game. I said, what's worse than an Orc? A Raging Orc. Well, I'll rephrase that. What's worse than an Orc? Lots of them. So they have a power of 11. And at the start of combat, each player has to discard the top 3 cards from their deck. So I lose 6 cards. 1, 2, 3. Now I've lost Stomp, which is a power 3. So my first attack is useless. Second attack stroke of luck. I can search my deck for a card of my choice and put it into hand. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to choose Recover. Because if you remember, I put this card into my discard pile on purpose earlier, hoping that Recover would come up so I could draw it out. So what I can do with this is remove this card from the game and choose any card in my discard pile and bring it to hand. And it lets me double its power. So with just one combat, I have 8, 9, 10, 11 Orc Warband is defeated. So both the Bard and the Barbarian are victorious in their quest. They've progressed through 5 dungeon levels, I'd say with relative ease. I mean, I did play on the easy mode, but I just wanted to give you a bit of an understanding of the game. So that was the quick mode variant of the game, but I can tell you the full version is very good too. You get double the dungeons, more rewards, and a unique boss consisting of 4 cards that includes dragons, titans, and big hairy spiders. But this quick mode scales down very well. It's really rewarding when you're able to pull a big combo from discarding, drawing, and gaining cards to defeat one of the more powerful enemies. There are loads of monsters we didn't see, such as golems, giants, and a platypus, but he's like really hench. There's also an expansion available, the Second Curse, that offers more heroes and monsters to fight. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the playthrough, and don't forget to check out Out of Town Games. This is Ninja Geek Games. Cheers.